16th of June, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Lou, I think it's your turn.
Okay, I have to go to the store to pick up something. Is there anything you need? I'm gonna go now. Let's see, get this to you.
Okay, my turn. Let's see, where are we?
Verse 18, Pasuk 18.
18. Okay, Yud Chet. Urisem es haaretz ma hi ve'es ha'am hayoshev aleha hechazak hu harapeh hamiat hu im rav. Let's see. See the land. What is it? And the people that dwells in it. Is it strong or weak? Is it few or numerous? Rashi.
It's referring to the people.
What?
It is referring to the people.
Right.
Yeah, not necessarily the land. Is the people means are the I mean, I guess in English you'd use it in the plural form. Are the people strong or weak? Hama'atu imrav. Are they few or are they many?
Right. Well, it wouldn't make any sense to say, is the land few or many?
That is true. Yes, correct. Right. So it must be referring to the people.
Es haaretz mahi. Yesh eretz migadeles giborim. There can be a land which produces mighty people. V'yesh eretz, and there can be a land migadelet chalashim, which produces weak people. Yesh migadelet uchlusin. There can be a land which increases population. V'yesh ma'etes uchlusin. And there can be a land which decreases population.
More like conducive. There's a land which is conducive to having many people, and there's a land which is conducive to have fewer people. I mean, let's take Nepal, for instance. There are not many people who are living in Nepal because it's a very high country and it's not very conducive to have a large population there. Whereas, I guess, take the area around New York City or places like Tokyo and Mexico City. Actually, it's interesting. Mexico City is actually a very interesting phenomenon because it's a very high, relatively high altitude, which would not necessarily be so conducive to having a large population, yet it has, I think, one of the most densest populations in the world.
Right. I think it's around 5,000 feet.
Which is pretty high. It's even... Okay.
Echazak hu harafeh. Simon maser lahem.
Masar lahem.
Masar. Moshe gave the spies a sign. Im bif razim yoshvim. If they live in walled cities, chazakim heim. They are strong. I'm sorry, if they live in unwalled cities.
open cities.
Strong. V'somchin al gevurasam, for they rely upon their strength. V'im be'arim b'tzuros heim yoshvin, but if they dwell in fortified cities, chalashim heim, they are weak.
Now, there's a very interesting explanation here from actually Dr. Bonchek. I don't know if he's still alive, not sure. But anyway, he wrote a series of books called What's Bothering Rashi. And he had a very interesting point over here. Why does Rashi, we've got a few questions over here. It says, Chazak hu harofeh, hama'at hu imrov, ומהארץ אשר יושבת בו הטבע היא אמרה, ומהערים אשר יושב בהנה במחנים הם במבצרים, ומהארץ השמנה היא אמרזה, היש בה עצים עין. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 questions, right? With yes or no alternatives. Only Rashi says over here, Siman Masa Lahem, Echazak hu harofeh, and she says, Siman Mosalem. Why does Rashi pick out this one particular? So he says a very interesting point. In all the other questions which were at hand, one says Hama'at hu imrov. Are they few or many? Imrov. So if that was the question here, Hechazak hu imrofe, it should have said. Are they strong or weak? So why did it say Hechazak hu harofe? So Rashi is pointing out a very interesting point. And this is exactly why Rashi prompted Rashi to make this point. Hechazak, what looks openly erstwhile to be ostensibly, that's the right word, looks ostensibly to be strong, hu harofe, that's really the weak one. That's what Rashi says, and that's it. That's why the pasuk doesn't say echozak hu imrofe. Echozak hu harofe, what looks ostensibly strong is really the weak. And that's what Rashi says. If they're living in fortified cities, they are really weak. And that's why Rashi points out, it wasn't the words. Obviously, the question was, are they strong or are they weak? But Moshe Rabbeinu expressed this slightly differently to indicate this point, that what might ostensibly appear as being strong is really a sign of weakness. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, sending the spies is wrong if the spies are going to try and see if the land is really as promised, if the land is a good land.
Right.
But sending the spies is right if they're going to do hishtadlus to plan the
a strategy how to conquer the land.
So Moshe should be saying to them, okay, look and see what route is best for us to take.
Which is in fact what he said in Parshas Devarim.
But he's not here. Here he's saying, look and see if the land is good. He's telling them the wrong stuff, the wrong directions.
Okay.
He even says, is it good or bad in 19? We know it's good. Why are we asking is it good or bad? We already know the answer to that question.
So listen, well, we're in a, should we say, not a no-win situation. I would say this follows. let's say you want to go and buy yourself a new car. And you go to the showroom and you ask them, he says, can I do a test drive? No problem, sir. Whatever you want. You can take it to the toughest ground you want, whatever. You can show you specifications. You can test them out, whatever you want. Now,
I'll be back.
Technically, the guy could someone say, okay, I'm going to do that. But if he's reliant on the person, he knows that the seller is a reliable person, he says, I'll take your word for it. And I'll forego actually taking the test drive. You're an honest person. So what he's saying is follows. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, listen, Akash Baruch Hu's promised this is a good land. Okay? We can be pretty much reliant on Akash Baruch Hu that whatever he's bringing us. But if you want to go and check it out, you check it out in every single point. Whatever point is important to you, you can go ahead and check it out. You'll see that for sure it's a good land. So that answers it somewhat. That doesn't answer the whole story. The Netziv has actually, if you remember right, it's Netziv. Netziv has his way of explanation is as follows. There were two levels of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a level of total trust, meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you said this is a good land. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you take care of the conquering the land. We have total trust in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This you have said this is good land, and we can trust you that this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care, even though the people are maybe tremendously strong people. You, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have promised us this land. You say this is the land which was promised to our forefathers. This is the land you're going to give to us. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you'll take care of conquering the land as well. But once Klal Yisrael has said, no, we want to check it out ourselves. What does that mean? We're not in such a high level of trust in Hashem. Right? We do trust Hashem, but we want to have an element of our own input as well. Shall we call it that way? Because we want to conquer the land as every country conquers the land. I mean, let's take an example at hand. If Netanyahu had gone over before he did this bombing of Iran, the bombing of Tehran and all the other installations or whatever, he'd gone to one of the Gedolei Israel and he said to him, asked him, should I do it or not? So the Gadol said to him, there's too much danger involved for the inhabitants of the country. Rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of them. He could bring a thunderstorm upon Iran and lightning and thunder and earthquakes and all kind of natural disasters, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of it. It's a possibility. I don't think it happened to you that way, but anyway. But what I'm saying is, there's a element that person, in other words, a person has to feel the trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is a true trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a person says, I'm not going to go to work, I've got total trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to provide me panos. Okay? And then he goes and he buys himself a lottery ticket. You say that is a correct thing to do or not? It depends what level he's on. If he's on level, his total trust in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has absolutely nothing. He doesn't even have to buy in a lottery ticket.
Yes.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of everything. However, not everybody may be on that level. Maybe very few people on that level. So there's another level of, yes, I do trust, but I have to feel that I have to do something in the way of what they call hishtadlus, my own input into getting panos. So I'll trust the Kosh Baruch, and my input is buying a lottery ticket. Maybe a Kosh Baruch will send the panos in a different way, but that was my input. Most people are not on that level, and a person has to be true in himself to know that what he is his level of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And to that extent, he should put his own input into making parnasa, or in the case of where he's faced with an enemy, how much he should put into actual military operations, etc., etc. So here, the people technically, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had hoped, this is why Shabbat also had hoped, that the people would be totally reliant on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And had they been totally reliant on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you know, my people, I'm going to do everything for you. It's a good land. You don't need to check out the land. You don't even need to have any military preparations how to conquer the land, because I'm going to do everything for you. The people said, you're not up to that. You want to send spies. What does want to send spies? As you say, there could have been one of two reasons. One is just merely as a to chart out for their military strategy, and not they had any questions that it's a good land or not. But there again, that's also relying, saying we're not totally relying on Hashem. We want to have a certain input of our own. We need to have a certain input of our own. Okay, even more than that. And then you've got another lower level that they said, you know, true, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's going to be a good land. We want to see for it for ourselves, which is, how do I put it? It's not denying that Hashem has promised us a good land, but it's a much lower level of trust in Hashem. It means we've got to see it for ourselves to know that it's a good land. And this actually, so 1 second. So the first request to go make send a task, or should we say, what do you call it? Not a task force is the right word, maybe task force to check out the land as far as strategically, Moshe Rabbeinu agreed to. And that's what it says in Parsha's Dvarim. Moshe Rabbeinu agreed to. That's okay. Because, you could have been on a higher level of trust, but the fact you want to be on this level of trust, that you want to at least, you've got to have a certain level of our own input. Okay? Moshe Rabbeinu said it would have been better, you wouldn't have been on that level, you wouldn't have asked for it, but now you ask for it, I'll let you go. But to actually ask if it's a good land or not, so this is what the, I think it's the Dubna Magid says this about, the Pshat is, well, Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, you want to check it out, but I'm saying you can check it out, make sure you check out all the good points, but I can tell you from the start, it was Moshe Rabbeinu's Kaviyach is saying to them, you should know there's no need for this. You want to satisfy your own lack of trust, and you want to see for yourself.
I'm trying to get.
So this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is asking them over here, is not encouraging them to ask these questions, right? But he's saying, if you are, these are the questions you should be asking yourself, and this is, this will satisfy. This is the question you should be asking yourself to satisfy your lack of trust in Hashem, and to make sure that you will now be satisfied that the land is a good land and you will agree to go. But this was distinctly a lower level of trust. So in other words, there was like two levels of trust among the Jewish people. One, even three levels, let's put it that way. The best level would have been that they would have said, no, Kosh Baruch, we trust you implicitly and with no need to send any spies whatsoever. That's what Kosh Baruch really wanted. The second level was to check it out militarily. And the third level is what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them here. You want to really know whether it's a good land or not. I'm telling you, you can check it out. These are the points you should be checking out. But I can tell you already, there's no need for it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Fine, let's go on. Yud Tes.
Okay.
Mea.
Umaha Aretz Asher Hu Yosheva Atova Ki Imra'a Umahe Arim Asher Hu Yoshev V'Heina B'Machanim Im B'Mivtsarim. Okay. And how is the land in which it dwells? Is it good? Is it bad?
Right?
Okay. And how are the cities in which it dwells?
In which they are dwelling.
In which they are dwelling. Okay, right.
Is dwelling.
So
Machanim, are they in open cities, in the Miftarim, or in fortified cities?
or fortified. The Mivtsarim. Okay, fortified. Okay, so Rashi has the Machanim, the open cities. Targum, the Pat no, the Hatchin. One clue says Befatzachin, which means Karabin, Petzuchin, Petuchin. So these are the open cities, Petuchin.
Yeah, Befatzchin. Fatz means open, right?
Okay.
In Ivrit, they use the term Pitzuchin, right, which means for kind of seeds which are shelled, because you open up the shell to eat it, to eat the seed.
Oh.
Pitzuchin, right? Lefatzeach means to open up a shell. Okay.
Okay. And then it says, Me'ain Homa, without a wall.
Right.
Okay. And then it says, Hatova, he. Is it good? B'ma'ayanot. Oh, it has springs. Okay. Utahomot. And deep wells. Tovim, Uberiim. They are good and they are healthy.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Rashi seems to point this out over here because there's an obvious question. The Chayra in Pasuk Yud Ches already said, "Urisemes Aretz Mahi." So what is the land like? And then we say over here as well, what is the land like? Is it good or bad? So it seems to be a repeat of the same question. So Rashi points out in the previous pasuk, Rashi said, "Esaretz mahi," meaning what kind of populace, what kind of population does it produce? Okay, are the inhabitants weak or are the inhabitants strong? Okay, are they many people or few people? Okay. Whereas over here, even if they are, let's say it's a land that has strong people and many people, but we want to know is the water, does it have good resources? Is the water good? The water supply good? Is the food that they have? Is it healthy? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now actually that's where there is the food is has is actually going on the next pasuk. Lou, pasuk chaf, 20.
Tough. Let's see. Uma Haaretz Hashmena he im Raza Hayesh ba eitz im ayin
Ayin,
his chazaktem ulekachtem mipri haaretz v'hayamim yemei bikorei anavim. All right, so let's see. And how is the land? Is it fertile or is it lean? Are there trees in it or not? You shall strengthen yourselves and take from the fruit of the land. The days were the days of the ripening of the grapes. So Rashi says, Hayesh ba eitz, im yesh bahem. See if there is among them Adam kasher, a decent man.
worthy man.
What?
A worthy.
A worthy man. Sheyagain aleihem, who can protect them, bizechuso, through his merit.
Right. Now, Rashi's obviously saying to understand it in the plain meaning, right, is are there any trees there or not? Even if you're going to, first of all, you should say Hayesh ba eitzim imloi. Why use the singular? Number one. And number two, you said the Ma'aretz Hashmena im Rosa. Is it a fertile land or a lean land? Okay, so why do you have to go? What's the particular question whether it has trees or not? Okay, so Rashi therefore says it's not to be understood in a literal sense, but in a metaphorical sense.
But again, this hits into the same question. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu worried that there's going to be a tzaddik over there? Hashem has promised we're going to get the land, so why are we worried about that?
Say that since the people are saying we're not totally reliant on Hashem, we want to have our level of trust in Hashem, we want a little bit lower than that, then it's going to be dependent. If they have somebody, a big tzaddik who can protect them, so therefore maybe now's not the right time to conquer the land. Let's wait till he dies and then can conquer the land.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay. Bikorei anavim.
Bikurei anavim.
Bikurei anavim. Yamim she ha'anavim misbashlin bevikur. Days in which the grapes mature in their first ripening.
So it means it's the time of the first ripening grapes. Okay? When is that? The Chaya, that's what Chazal say, Rashi mentions it later, 40 days. Actually, there was in the month of Sivan. He sent them at the end of Sivan, and they were there for 40 days, and the 40th day being Tisha B'Av.
Oh.
This Rashi's going to mention that. He mentions it later. Okay, we'll see. Be'ez Hashem, we'll get to it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Pasuk Chof Aleph. Oh, we're really up to time. Okay, so we'll have to leave. We'll start with Chof Aleph tomorrow, Bezat Hashem. Okay?
Very good.
Have a good day, Rabbi.
You too.
Okay, be well.
By the way, I'm going to be sending you an email. I hope, Bezat Hashem, to make a bar mitzvah on Thursday. My youngest son.
Oh, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov.
So we're hoping to have a reception on Thursday. We'll see what the situation allows, but we'll see. But I'm going to be sending you an email invitation later. Bezat Hashem. Okay?
Okay, good.
Very good. Be well. Okay.